Alright guys, we're going to be talking about arc length in this third one for U.3. So, I do want to talk about, there is a difference when it comes to arc length. We talked about arc measure, okay? And we measured that in, or the units that we measured them in were in degrees, okay? These dealt with angles, or dealt with the relationship with angles. Arc length, it's kind of in its name, is dealing with the length of it. So it's any measurement that does the measurement of length. So it could be inches, it can be miles, it can be meters, it can be kilometers, anything that deals with length. So there's two ways of measuring arcs. There's the length of it and the measure of it. That has to deal with the relationship with the central angle. Okay? As you can see right here. Arc measure deals with the angle and its relationship with it. If this is 82, this is also 82. But arc length deals with the length of the circle. Now, the total length is what we call the circumference. It's the perimeter of the circle. Okay, and that is equal to 2 pi the radius. Okay, again, this is the perimeter. It's the outside edge. Okay, so arc measure deals with the angle. Arc length deals with the length. Okay, there's two ways of measuring them, and there's a relationship between them. So we're going to use this relationship to find missing components. All right, what is that relationship? Well, we're going to call that relationship a proportional relationship. Okay, now let's take, for example, you want to eat a pizza and you're really hungry. Okay, and you want to eat 1/2 of it. So you want to eat 1/2 of it. So in your mind, you're thinking, cool, I'm taking the pizza and I'm split it into two pieces that make the whole. But I only want part of that. I only want one part of that. So the whole pizza is sliced into two, but I only want one piece. But when you open that box, the entire pizza isn't just divided into two, right? It's divided into 8 pieces, right? Think about it. Normal pizza is divided into 8 slices. Okay? In your mind, you were thinking, all right, I'm going to eat this entire half. However, the pizza's divided in 8. But you're a savvy person. You know that, hey, I just need to eat half of the 8 slices. And then I eat half the whole pizza. Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4, I only need 4 parts out of the total 8 slices to eat half of the pizza. This is a proportional relationship. 1/2 is equal to 4/8 of the pizza. Okay? That's a proportional relationship. This is a relationship that we're going to have between the arc measure and the arc length. So let's dive into that right here. So, again, remember, the top part is part, and the bottom part is the whole. Okay, so the first one, the left hand, we deal with arc length. Again, this is, arc measure. This deals with the angle, okay, in degrees, and full rotation. Full rotation is 360 degrees. So some portion of the measure over the total, which is 360, is equal to the arc length, deals with the length, over the circumference. Again, circumference is 2 pi r. So, if we look right here, as you can see, this 82 over 360 is equal to, and we'll go over here, the part of the measurement or the arc length of AB over the total, which is 2 pi r, the circumference. This will make more sense when we have to do examples. But now that we have a proportion, we can use the butterfly method to find the missing part. And that's what we're going to do. Okay? But the only thing you need to remember is part over whole. So, let's dive into it. The diameter of the circle is 16 inches. What is the length of the 90-degree arc? So it says length, so we're dealing with arc length. So keep that in mind, arc length. And we're doing the arc length of the 90-degree arc. This is the 90-degree arc, so we're trying to find this length. Awesome, cool. I have everything I need to know. Okay, I know my proportion. I'll set it up right here. Goes like this. This is the arc measure, which I'm going to put as measure with a degree sign over 360 equals the length, the arc length, over 2 pi r. So let's fill in what I know. I know that the arc measure is 90 degrees. That's the measure of the arc. So it's going to be 90 degrees over, I know it's 360 for the total. That's going to equal. Now I'm looking for the length. That's what I'm trying to find. That's the missing part. So I'm going to make that an x because I don't know what it is. So variable is a good spot there. Now I'm going to do 2 pi r. And the r is the radius. So I need to know what the radius is. Cool. What does it say? Ooh, I haven't used this part. This bit of information I haven't used. The diameter of the circle is 16 inches. Wait a minute. That doesn't tell me what the radius is. It tells me what the diameter. But hey, you remember from the first one? The diameter is just 2 times the radii. Or double the radius. So if this is 16, half, right? Or the radius is half the diameter. Right? What is half of 16, or what is 16 divided by 2? Well, it's 8. Because this part, if we say this is 8 inches plus this part 8 inches, we get a total of 16. So the radius in our case is 8. So this is 8. Awesome. I think I have everything right now. Now, let's cross multiply. And cross multiply, or the butterfly method. All right, I'm going to have, let's do the x first. So x is multiplying with 360. So I'm going to have 360 times x equals, I'm going to have the 90 times 2 pi times 180. All right, it looks messy, especially with this pi. I don't know what I'm going to do with that for right now. But you know what? I'm going to go with my gut, and I think I'm doing a great job. So I'm just going to clean up some things. Nothing to really clean up on the left-hand side, so I'm just going to bring down the 360 times x equals. Now the 90 times 2 times the 8 times the pi. What I can do is just multiply the numbers that aren't pi. Okay, so what is 180 times 2 times 8? Well, when you do all that, oh, I need to get my calculator. On my notes, I didn't write this down. So you get to see in real time, me grabbing my calculator on my phone. 90 times 2 times 8. Okay, you should get 140 or 1,440 times pi. And yes, we're actually not going to do anything with that pi. We're going to keep it. Don't times by 3.14. Just keep it. Why? Because the answer, we want to give an example in the simplest form. So when you click on this, they're going to give you options where you can either use pi or a fraction. Sometimes you're going to have in our example, we're going to have pi on there. So you're just going to write the number and then pi. So the only thing we need to do to get x by itself is divide both sides by 360. 360. And these cross out. And you're left with x equals, what is 1,440 divided by 360? Well, it's just 4. But we haven't done anything with this pi, so bring it down with you. Don't forget that. This is going to be 4 pi. Now, sometimes you would be tempted to multiply by 3.14 times it by 5, and then that's your answer. But the problem is, pi goes on forever, and sometimes we have to round. But they want it in the exact answer in the simplest form. So that means we got to keep pi as pi multiplying with the number. So the answer I'm going to put down is just 4 pi. And I would submit it. Okay? Alright, so that's how you find arc length when you're given the diameter and an arc measure. Let's go into another example. So here we're given the diameter that is 18 centimeters. So it's like the last one. And the arc length is 85 degrees. Or what is the length of the arc, or the 85-degree arc? So again, we're looking for length. Okay, so we're looking for that of the 85. Oh, well, this is 85 right here. So this is what we're trying to find. That's going to be our x, the length of it. Because it's in 18 centimeters, the arc is going to be in centimeters. So we're looking for x centimeters. All right, it's very similar to this one right here. We're going to be using this proportion. So again, it's part over whole. Part over whole. All right, so I'm going to be doing the measure over the 360 degrees, the total rotation, equals the length over 2 pi r, the circumference. All right, what is the measure? Well, it tells us right here, 85. So it's 85 degrees over 360 degrees. That equals, we're looking for the length. That's the x value. So I'm going to put x. And then again, I need to find the circumference. That's 2 pi r. The r is the radius. There's nothing that tells us about the radius, but we know about the diameter. Is 18. Well, what is half of 18? Oh, 9. So this part right here is 9. 9. This right here is a radius. All right, so we're going to do 2 pi, and the radius is 9, and boom. Now we do the same thing that we did before. Cross multiply. Now, there are other ways of doing this, and if you're comfortable with it, you can do it. I'm just showing you one way that you can use. So I'm going to have 360x equals 85 times 2 pi times 9. Again, this one has pi in it, so kind of push that aside. We'll bring it back at the end. So nothing I'm going to do with the 360x, so I'll bring that down. Now I'm just going to clean up this by multiplying 85 times 2 times 9. And I'm going to grab my calculator and figure that out. So 85 times 2 times 9, you get 1,530. And again, I haven't done anything with that pi, so bring that pi down. Pi. Cool. Now 360, I need to get rid of it to get x by itself. So I'm going to divide by 360 from both sides. Cancel that. I'm just left with x. What is 1,530 divided by 360? Oh. it's 4.25 times pi. This is not good because they wanted the simplest form. Actually, you know what? I think they actually would be fine with 4.25. Yeah, I think they'd be fine with that. So, try it out. If you're confident, if you don't want to try to turn it into a fraction, just do 4.25 times pi. But they might want it in exact form, which is a fraction. So right here, 0.25. There's an app for a graphic calculator. I've shown it. I have a video on how to get it. This one, 0.25, really what you need to do is convert it. And the way that you would convert this one is you would have a 4 on the bottom. Because 0.25, how many quarters do you have in a dollar? 4, and a quarter is 25 cents. So 0.25, it's 4 is going to be on the bottom. What you do is 4.25 times 4, and it would be 17 pi. And you can double check, you can take 17 divided by 4, you should get 4.25. So I would go with this, but you might be able to be fine with a decimal. But you would put 17 over 4 using the fraction button, and then put the pi using the pi button. And there you go. All right, so with those, that's finding arc length. Now the ones below us, they're going to be a little bit different. All right, so right here, the diameter of the circle is 10 centimeters. Okay, so again, we're dealing with diameters. 10 centimeters. What is the angle measure of the arc that is 3 pi centimeters long? Okay, so now we're finding arc measure, we're given arc length. So, finding angle measure. The other problems we were finding arc length, now we're going to find arc measure. Again, it is measure over 360 degrees over length over 2 pi r. All right, so what is the measure? I don't know. We're trying to figure that out. We're trying to find the degrees for this arc 3 pi centimeters. So I want to make that x degrees because I'm looking for it in degrees. So it's going to be x over 360 equals, I know the length of it is 3 pi, so it's going to be 3 pi. And I'm going to do 2 pi, and the diameter is 10, so that means the radius is 5 and 5. So it's 5, and booyah, I have it. So, cross multiply, or butterfly method. And what I get is, I'm going to keep the x on the left-hand side, so the thing that's multiplying with the x is the 2 pi times 5 times x equals the 360 times 3 pi. Now, we're multiplying, and everything's going to be fine. This is going to be a lot simpler than it looks. It looks messy right now, but it's going to be fine. So, what I would do is just clean up the things you can. Keep the x and the pi's by themselves for right now. Just multiply the numbers. So I'm going to multiply the 2 and the 5. When I do that, I get 10 pi times x. I bring the pi down and the x. Then I'm going to multiply the 360 times the 3. Bring down the pi afterwards. So 3 times 360. That's going to be 360 times 3, 1080, and then bring down the pi. Now, we got to get x by itself. So that means I got to divide both sides by the thing that's multiplying it. Well, that's 10 pi. 10 pi. And then it cancels. I'm just left with x. Now, there's a pi on the top and a pi on the bottom. What happens they cancel each other out. So really, pi in these examples, they're just going to cancel each other out. Then you're just left with the numbers. What is 1080 divided by 10? Well, it's just 108. So this right here is degrees. So that's it. We found that the measure of the arc that is 3 pi centimeters is just 108. That's it. So when you're looking for arc measure, usually, I'm going to say usually, the pi's are going to cancel. You don't need to worry about the pi's. Let's take another example right here. So it's similar to the last one. It goes like this. The diameter of the circle is 48 miles. What is the central angle measure of the arc? 15 pi miles long. So again, we're looking for the angle measure. Here, this one, we're not given a picture or diagram. That's okay. We know that it's part over whole, and we know that it's measure over 360, right? The part of the arc, measure over 360, the total rotation, that equals the part of the length, the arc length, over the total 2 pi r, the circumference. Okay. I'm looking for the measure, so that's what I'm trying to find. I'm going to make an x for that one. So it's going to be x degrees over 360 degrees equals the length, that's 15 pi miles over 2 pi times the radius. What is the radius? I don't know. I got the diameter. I know the diameter is equal to 480. But I really just need to know, if I know the diameter, I can find the radius by just taking 480 diameter divided by 2, and cool, it's 24. So it's 24 miles. All right, at this point, cross multiply, and got a little butterfly. So I'm gonna have, as you can see, I'm gonna have 2 pi times 24 times x equals 360 times 15 pi. Again, looks messy, but we can clean it up. Multiply the numbers, set aside the x and the pi. So 2 times 24, that's going to give me 48 pi times x equals, multiply the numbers, 360 times 15. 360 times 15. You get 1,500, oh, not 1,500, 5,400 times pi. And again, we're trying to get x by itself, so I got to divide what it's multiplying with it. That's the 48 pi to both sides. The 48 pi cancels. In this case, the pi's cancel as well on the right-hand side. Now we just need to take 5,400 divided by 48. And what you get is you get x equals 12.5 degrees. Now, again, if fractions don't work, you just need to convert that. 0.5, that's just a 2 on the bottom. And then you just do 12.25 times 2. You'll have 225 over 2 degrees. So either you can do it in a fraction, or I think you can do it in decimal. But you would write your answer as 112.5 degrees. So again, with all these, you got to know what you're trying to find. Are you looking for the arc measure, or are you finding the arc length? When you know what you're finding, you just need to fill in the information with this ratio, part over whole, and then cross multiply, simplify, get x by itself, and there you go. All right, guys. If you need any help, Tuesday through Friday, my office hours from 2 to 3. You can also email me. But guys, I will see you in the next video, which is going to be the last set of videos or IXLs for this entire year. So again, guys, I'll see you.